In a draft class loaded with running backs, the New England Patriots may have found the biggest steal at the position by scooping up TreVeyon Henderson with the 38th overall pick. After a prestigious college career capped off by a national championship with the Ohio State Buckeyes, Henderson is already turning heads in Patriots training camp, and his preseason kicked off with a bang by returning a kickoff 100 yards for a touchdown on his first ever NFL touch. The hype isn't slowing down for Henderson, who continues to shine in practices and could wind up being a legitimate star in New England's backfield. Let's dive into the tape and chat with Patriots beat writer Taylor Kyles to get a better idea of what Henderson's impact could be on the Patriots this season in this week's episode of Best Available. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Best Available. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and also can give us a follow on socials at BestAvailableYT. Honestly, Henderson has been a star in the making for years now, dating back to being a 5-star recruit out of Virginia back in high school. Offers came in from basically everywhere as a recruit for Henderson, but he opted to go to Ohio State, where he had an impact almost immediately for the Buckeyes. Over 4 seasons with the program, Henderson was a 3-time All-Big Ten selection with 3,761 rushing yards, 853 receiving yards, and 48 offensive touchdowns. Despite the accolades, the national championship, the constant praise about him as a person inside that locker room, there were still some skeptics about Henderson's ability as an NFL prospect because of his size. Henderson comes in at about 5'10" and 210 pounds. But Mike Vrabel and the Patriots staff don't seem concerned at all about that stature. It was clear during their draft process, their entire draft strategy was character, especially early on in the draft, taking Will Campbell out of LSU and then Henderson. Along with character, it's clear Vrabel and that staff wanted competitively tough players that had both physical and mental toughness, and boy does Henderson check those boxes. And while it's still early, all reports are that he's just absolutely shining in training camp for New England. I asked Patriots beat writer Taylor Kyles with CLNS about what he's seen from Henderson since he's someone that's been at a lot of these practices in person. Here's what he had to say about the second-round pick.
So TreVeyon Henderson might be the Patriots' best offensive weapon as a rookie. I know a lot of fans at the time he was taken weren't thrilled about a second-round running back, but I, for one, was thrilled because TreVeyon Henderson is not just a running back. This is a guy who can be a runner, a receiver, as we know, an incredible blocker. He might walk into the NFL as one of the position's best pass blockers and blitz pickup artists. And I say artist for a reason because this dude is putting dudes on their butts consistently in practice and in games just like he was doing back at Ohio State. In terms of usage, I still think that Ramondre Stevenson is going to be the 1A in terms of being the bruiser, right? The guy who punches defenses in the mouth and wears them down inside. But I also think that TreVeyon Henderson is going to be a very close 1B, who's more of a third down back, but also gets touches on early downs and some outside zone situations, power. I really like him behind pulling linemen. And I think that as a returner, he's also going to make an impact. So by the end of the season, don't be surprised if TreVeyon Henderson actually winds up having more touches in the season than Ramondre Stevenson. I'm still not sure exactly how that backfield's going to work out. Ramondre Stevenson needs to get healthy. He's missed about a week or so due to injury after the Commanders game. But TreVeyon Henderson, man, he's going to be a stud. If you're a fantasy football player, bye.
Thanks to Taylor for that little insight. Let's go ahead and dive into some of the film from this preseason to get a better look at how Henderson's being utilized so far and just the impact he's already having just 2 preseason games into his NFL career. Shouldn't be a surprise what we're going to start with. We're going to start with this kickoff return and the first touch that Henderson ever had. 100 yards for a touchdown. Just absolutely love this. And one of the things I love about the new kickoff rules, I think it tends to benefit running backs more because it's just more of an opportunity. They have more space to run. There's not as much high impact collisions for these blockers, and it really just creates these natural rushing lanes that running backs are more used to. And this is a great example of why this is so successful. So Henderson's taking off, right? We see this here. What I love is we have this two-way go here. We have 2 options for rushing lanes. But what I love is Henderson's ability to set up one of them to open up the other. And let's run this a little bit further. You can see, this is the step where Henderson's about to cut back, but his entire body language leading up to here is this lane, right? And what he's trying to control is this defender. Based on where he wants to go, he wants to set up this defender the wrong way. He's trying to set up and cut back here. If he sets this up too early, this defender is going to cut it back here. And then suddenly you have a two-man corral based on the leverage of these two defenders that close up this rushing lane. So by pushing this lane first, sorry about that, by pushing this lane first, it's allowing this defender to be a second late. And you're going to see right there, by the time that defender switches over, he's too late on it. He only gets a hand on Henderson. And then this is what's really impressive and what's going to make Henderson, a potential star is we'll show this whole play in full, but his ability to switch directions and take off at full speed, leave this defender just grasping at air, and then it's just off to the races. And head down by the kicker, just knows that he messed up, and it's gone. And we can play this again in full for you guys because, man, what a run it is by Henderson. Pay attention to how he's pushing this. He switches back and then doesn't lose any speed and just takes off. Just what a great run by Henderson there. Absolutely love it. An example of that speed. Again, we can rewind this part again. I'm just very impressed by how he doesn't lose any speed on this change and just forces a bad angle by that defender. Just, man, what a first impression by Henderson. Here we're going to have an example of Henderson coming out of the backfield. As a guy that can be probably utilized early on as a third down back, you want to see some pass catching ability and just some plays after the catch. And I think Henderson does a pretty damn good job at that. So, May is looking for some stuff downfield, doesn't see anything open. This linebacker is looking this way. This corner is sitting here waiting. And just when May doesn't see anything, gets out there. And then I just love, it's not much, but you're going to see that pad level is going to stand out. How much lower Henderson gets than the guy. Just bam, right there. That's going to be a recurring theme on tape, at least in this game. He hasn't gotten a lot of preseason touches, but what stands out to me for a smaller guy, he's really going into contact with low pad level. I love to see that from a running back. If everyone's talking about how small you are, prove them wrong and be the stronger guy, win the leverage battle. Shows up time and time again. But I that really stood out to me on, one of those first touches in the preseason after the kickoff return touchdown. Just that willingness to get low. It's just a simple toss play to the left here, but what I love is just Henderson's vision, decisiveness, and burst. It's going to show up. I'm as an NFL player, is just something that consistently showed up at Ohio State is just his ability to turn on the jets. But love it here. He's following his essentially fullback, the tight end number, but he's playing fullback here on this formation. Wins the foot race to that guy. He gets a little seal. Campbell does a great job sealing on the outside. He's got this little hole. He cuts back in, takes off. That's just a nice explosive play. You're not going to win every foot race no matter how fast you are just because of gap discipline. But I just love his ability to cut that back in, take off. That's a really nice, productive run. Watch it again. That's a pretty nice block here by the receiver too to crack down, give Campbell this opportunity in open space on a DB. That's a losing situation for a lot of guys, but just I really like that play. And then let's talk about Campbell real quick. If you focus on him here, talk about another guy that might look like a home run. I know it's on a DB, but man, he makes that DB regret trying to take him on, finishes that block. I absolutely love it. Talk about two really fun early draft picks for the Patriots that might change this offensive identity pretty damn quick. And they can just love watching, one of the things you'll constantly watch on Henderson is just how fast he's keeping those legs churning. It's something that's going to make him really productive. We're just going to assume that Henderson's going to start his career as a third down back. It's just going to take some time for a rookie to get acclimated. And it's still a fairly competitive backfield with Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson. So I'm not saying that Henderson's going to be stuck as a third down back, but assuming that he's starting his career as this third down specialist, he needs to be effective in pass pro. And boy, did the college tape show that he can do that. And I'm glad that in these two preseason games, we got a couple of reps that show that he's still capable of being effective in pass pro. What I love here, this is just a simple chip, right? Campbell could be on an island with his pass rusher, but what you like to do is a running back on a delayed release is chip this guy, then get it out into your break. Make it basically do your left tackle some favors. And I just love the chippiness there to force that guy back inside, throw your shoulder into it. And it's not like a really splash play or he's not pancaking the dude, but that to me is enough to, show your willingness, a little scrappiness, a little feistiness. Throw something into that guy's ribs. You want that kind of competitiveness from your running back. And we have another play that we'll show a little bit later against the Vikings as another example of this effectiveness he's going to have it in pass protection. Another leak out of the backfield as a check down. And another example of pad level with Henderson. This is a guy that can win with speed and elusiveness, but it's clear in this preseason he wants to show that he can be a bruiser too. I love here contact balance to stay up right through this one, and then bam! You don't want to lead with your helmet. That's not ideal, but you got to get low, and sometimes this is just going to happen. Again, would like to avoid this. This is a little bit scary. I believe the defender gets hurt here, but the willingness to lower your pads and run through contact is pretty impressive after shedding off a tackle. It's that competitiveness we want to see in the preseason from Henderson. Like, I'm still assuming he's going to be a third down back to start his career, but he is doing everything in his power to be like, listen, you better give me touches, carries, receptions right away. Because, you can't deny that he's absolutely earning them. Needed to move myself to the other side of the screen for this one because I want to make sure that I'm highlighting Henderson's pass pro. We're switching to the Vikings game here. This is one, if you watch from the sideline angle, I think Henderson has the option to release, but sees a blitzer coming from the sideline, or I believe it's a corner. And instead of going out, he's just prepping what I love here. Low pad level, wide base, active feet to catch this guy. Look at those feet active, and then he is punching and attacking this guy instead of catching him. If you've been watching the channel, this is the third running back I think we've talked about with Pass Pro. And it's so vital, especially for a young guy, if you're going to stay on the field. Active feet, aggressive punching, and then he's locking up that blitz. I just love that he's waiting for it, keeping those feet, and then he's launching into it. It's not a huge, pancake or anything, but the technique's really good. The hands are good. The base stays wide, and he just locks up that blitz. He's ready for it. I absolutely love the technique here. And again, if he's going to be that third down back, this is something he's got to be ready for. An outstanding pass pro pickup. Not too much to go over here. You'll see as we pause it right here. Unless you're Trent Richardson, sorry, Trent Richardson, but this is a pretty obvious hole for you to go through. But what I like at the end of this is just clearly we got a two-man corral here, right? These two guys are closing in on him. Instead of trying to dance and do a bunch to, potentially just stalemate this, he's already lowering his pads and just diving through that to pick up another, it doesn't seem like a lot. That's still another 2-3 yards on a nice run. It's an 11-yard gain. I just like that he's just lowering his pads through this. Again, not much to talk about. I am at least encouraged that this Patriots offensive line is creating some rushing lanes. We saw from Campbell, he's looking like, adding some nastiness to this. This Patriots offensive line needs some wins like this to create big rushing lanes. I don't love the defensive setup either. You've got a stand-up edge inside here. There's no linebackers here. They're all vacated. It feels like a pretty easy run look. But still, just love that Henderson's lowering his pads through this. Not wasting any motion. He's not trying to dance sideline to sideline. He's just going straight downhill, picking up what he can get. And that's an 11-yard gain. We'll be more than happy with that. Last play here just absolutely rules. Another touchdown for Henderson. Second one of the preseason, this time as a runner. I love that we're seeing a lot of under center I formation stuff from the Patriots. Like Vrabel is very clearly wanting to go back to old school smash mouth football, and he's got the backfield to do it. I'm just hoping the offensive line, continues. But this is just a great run. I love the patience. I love, waiting for that gap, waiting for this to clear out. It's not pretty. He's shedding a couple tackles into the end zone. We can watch it in full again right here, but I just love patience, find the gap, get skinny, break a tackle, sheds off. That's the one thing I keep noticing, even on the college tape. For a guy that's supposedly small, he's always keeping his feet moving, and it helps him break so many tackles because he's such a small target anyway. And, sloppy tackling technique isn't going to get anyone anywhere. If you just want to just pay attention to his feet this entire play, look how fast those feet are always moving. They're always going, always going, always going until he hits the end zone. I could watch this play all day. I love the patience, the feel for where the gap is opening, and then breaking that one tackle into the end zone. This is the kind of running we want to see combined with all the other stuff. Outside of that kickoff return, fans haven't gotten to see a lot of the college version of Henderson that is this, breakaway, one-on-one make you miss in space and take off, but the contact balance, being able to be a bruiser, showing up in the passing game, in pass protection, uh, all of this is really exciting to see. Really encouraged by what I've seen from Henderson through 2 preseason games, all the clips from practice, everything I'm hearing from guys like Taylor, who, again, thank you for coming on the show. Really appreciate that from Taylor. You can check out his socials in the description. This seems like a legit player. I get it, especially for a guy like Vrabel. I imagine Henderson's not going to be this workhorse running back right out of the gate. Man, is he earning touches in the preseason and training camp. And, if you're a fantasy person, I personally drafted him. You might need to be a little patient. He's not going to be this 20 carry guy right out the gate. Again, I still think Stevenson and Gibson bring some value to that backfield, but I think he, by the end of this season, is going to be a focal point of this offense. He does so much that a guy like Vrabel is going to want to see, and I'm all in, man. Like, tape showing up, press showing up. All reports are that this guy is the guy. I think it's one of those people that can change the culture for this Patriots offense that just looked so disappointing, would be the nicest way to put it, last season. So that's going to do it for today's episode on Henderson. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel if you made it this far. And still trying to figure out what we're doing for the rest of the week. But, preseason's in full swing. We're getting close to the start of college season. We got Kansas State, Iowa State next Saturday. So be on the lookout for the next videos. But until then, we'll see you later this week. And thank you for watching. Best available.